All right, so I have finally finished A Dance of Dragons. I am caught up with the main series of Song of Ice and Fire. Insert so now my watch begin joke. Waiting on the Winds of Winter. We had an update a little while ago. It was like, what was it, 2/3, whatever, or 3/4, whatever, part of the ways through. Not taking that with any grain of salt. Don't believe anything he's saying until it says the manuscript is done. Rough draft is done. Final cut is done. It's in. The editor is gone. I got it back. Publisher has it. It's in production. Unless the place burns down, we're good. I'm not believing Winds of Winter is on the way until that moment, but I'm still kind of hopeful for next year, maybe. Regardless, let's talk about A Dance of Dragons because so much happened. For the record, I did binge this entire book because the library was going to take away my copy and I needed to finish it, so everything is kind of a blur, quite honestly. This was not the most effective way to consume this book because both a lot happened and not a lot happened. We got a lot of setup. So we start with this book. There is a skin changer who can go into a bunch of different animals and he wants to take over a human body because I think he's dying or something like that, or someone's coming after him. It's crazy time reading this book. But we did establish that a human soul, even after their body has died, can live in an animal. Hint, hint, for the end of this book. I want to start with Tyrion, who is probably one of my favorite characters in this book, just because he goes through such a change. It's really a shame that they didn't stick with this for the show, but I guess it would be a little bit too bleak and dark. So his obsession and he's honestly turning into a monster fueled by rage for how he's been treated and towards his sister and his brother and just everyone around him. And he's just consumed by this hatred and this vengeance that he wants to inflict upon everybody. So seeing him heading towards Dany, he's meeting up with young Griff, who we learn is Aegon. I see why he wasn't brought into the show. None of this is a surprise to me. I read too many spoilers reading the series, but I really did love how he's like, hey, you're going to go see your aunt in hopes that you guys will get married and be a united force to go conquer Westeros. But she's got 3 dragons. Even if you got the better claim, what does she need you for? And then convincing him that the best thing to do would actually be to go to Westeros, win some battles while they're weak, and be a conqueror. And then Dany being someone who wants to come in and wants to be a savior, so she'll come to you and save you, and then you meet on equal footing rather than going to her as a beggar with your hand out. So I did like that. I liked how he was kidnapped by Jorah, who was in a pleasure house with a bronze worker. Yeah, that was a choice that I appreciate because I don't like Jorah. I like seeing him attacked by the Stonemen. I liked his relationship with Penny, and him caring for her, but first being frustrated. I liked him taking responsibility for not necessarily what happened with her brother. So she and her brother were both dwarves at Joffrey's wedding who were performing, and then Tyrion refused to ride the pig, and after Joffrey's death, when people thought Tyrion did it, her brother, Penny's brother, was executed thinking that he was Tyrion. And now she's mad at him for getting her brother killed. Why couldn't you just ride the pig? And everyone would have thought it's okay, my brother would be alive, you didn't. And Tyrion's like, well, it wasn't my fault. That's not my choice. I have lots of blood on my hands. I don't have your brother's blood on my hands. But then finding a understanding and making friends. And at one point he does ride the pig to keep up morale on a ship as they're sailing off, which I wasn't expecting and I really enjoyed. They get then kidnapped by slave traders, and Tyrion's being sneaky when they're up on stage and people are bidding on him to put little hints of, yes, I am Tyrion Lannister, buy me, and you can sell me back for a higher price or something like that. I'm worth more than this, but then it's taken by someone else, and he escapes and goes to, not the Golden Company, Second Sons, I think, and he ends up joining them. There's a whole thing with the pig and the dog. Poor things. I think they end up getting killed when Tyrion escapes with Penny, and they bring Jorah with them. They have a brief encounter with Dany, but nothing substantial, where they're in the fighting pit and they're about to be fed to the lions without not knowing that that's what they're there for, and Dany saving their life without knowing who he is, saying, no, they did not consent to this. I agreed to open the fighting pits with consenting adults. They did not agree. No lines. And that was just, I like his character so much. Just, how angry he is, and slowly letting go of some of it, but I can definitely see when he gets back to Westeros, all that anger coming back. His obsession of his first wife, I'm going to say Tyene, but honestly, I didn't look up her name again, and trying to find her and idealizing the relationship, the brief relationship that they had initially, and I don't think I want him to meet her again, but if he does and she fails to meet his idolized expectations, then that would honestly be really interesting as well. So I'd like to see how he would respond to that. Sadly, with Dany, I don't have much to say. It's pretty standard. She is kind of just learning how to rule and be queen, and I want her to go to Westeros, but I also understand that she can't just leave this city. If she leaves Meereen, then it's going to be taken over by the slave trade again, just like the other cities that she had left and conquered. She had freed so many people, only now that they're enslaved again and in a worse situation than before. So she doesn't want to just abandon her people. And then you have the plague that comes. It's just one disaster over the other. And she's in love with the head of this, was it Second Sons? No. I don't care. Tyrion, or whatever his name is, she's in love with him or lusting after him, but she's got to marry this local lord in order to stop a bunch of killings. And then there's a thing on who poisoned her. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I wasn't very engaged, quite honestly. I'm sorry. The Meereen chapters were kind of just boring and dragging on. When Quentyn shows up, he is the heir to... No, he's not the heir to his Martella's older sister is. But he wants to marry Dany with a pact with Dorne, and she rejects him because she's already engaged to somebody about to marry him, and it's just better for Meereen. He can't offer her anything at that moment, so he doesn't. So he plans to steal a dragon, and my god, I love him for his enthusiasm and thinking he can do it. It's like, hey, I got some blood of the dragon in me. I'm sure I can take one of these dragons home. I'm sure I can ride one. And of course he gets torched and dies. And that was a spoiler. It was a plot point that was not revealed to me during all my spoiler reads, so I was happy to be surprised by that. I'm sad he's gone. I did actually like that character. Jon at the Wall. Again, I was bored. Interesting things were happening. I like the mundane, just dealing with all this stuff that's happening, dealing with food supplies and routines and getting people to man the walls and getting new recruits and bringing in the wildlings and finding places to house and feed them and all of that. It was interesting. It's just because you've seen the basics of it, of the TV show, I knew the gist of what was happening, so I'm just waiting for it to get to that moment at the end. I did like the scene where he was asking one of the higher-ups, just like, where in our vows does it say to protect the king's land? Where does it say to fight the wildlings? Like, they're a resource that we can use to fight the others and the White Walkers and all that. I'm going to take it. I'm not wrong by bringing in the wildlings. This does not break my vows. We get his side of the baby switch, and that's, again, he's so cold in those moments, so I really did like that. But the most interesting thing is going to be the pink letter and who wrote that. So I can't say whether or not I would have picked up on it if I hadn't watched so many spoiler videos, if it wasn't brought to my attention before I even read this book, but hopefully I would have. But basically, the note written by Ramsay is clearly not written by him. It's like, it's not written in blood. It didn't come with any body parts. The wording is just weird. I think they refer to the Night's Watch as a crow, so that's the biggest hint for me that just jumped out. It's like, this was not Ramsay. This had to be a wildling, so I'm assuming my theory aligns with some of the other ones I've seen, that Mance Rayder is the one who wrote it for whatever reason. There was probably a message in there that cued in a couple of the wildlings who immediately agreed to go and fight at Winterfell to bring it to them. But I'm also assuming that this is a setup by Melisandre in some way. I think she's involved. I think her and Mance Rayder have a deal and something's going on there. Oh, before I forget, I do have something with Val. So when she sees Princess Shireen and all the grayscale that's not active on her, she's like, that girl should be taken and killed because grayscale is never not active. It's always a threat. So my theory, which aligns with another theory, is going to be that Patchface is going to do something with whatever kind of dark sorcery magic he's got to reactivate that grayscale and put a plague all over the place. So I do want something to happen with the grayscale and Shireen, which means I don't want Melisandre to sacrifice her. So that is something that I'm hoping doesn't happen in Winds of Winter, so we can get some kind of grayscale outbreak plotline. And I want Patchface to be the one who triggers it because he is so creepy. And I really, really want that. Bran's plotline, I'm not interested at all. I want the three-eyed raven to possess him and take over his body and actually be evil. That is what I want. If I get it, I don't know. I want Bran to time travel. I want him to go back in time and be the one to whisper in the Mad King's ear accidentally, like burn them all, even though the Mad King has never said that in the series. He never did say burn them all. But regardless, I want him to do that and put that notion and help make the Mad King go mad. I want him to actually be Bran the Builder. I want all the other Brans throughout the history of A Song of Ice and Fire to actually be the Bran from this timeline, just time traveling and whispering in people's ears that this needs to be done. That is a very common theory, and I don't know if everyone likes that idea, but I love it and I want it. Oh, let me say something positive about Melisandre. I did like that she protected Davos' son, like wouldn't let him go off on the raid with Stannis. Just because even though Davos had tried to kill her and is against everything she stands for, she's like, I recognize despite, again, you trying to kill me, you are completely loyal to Stannis. And that is all I care about. So I think you would be grateful that I kept your son out of harm's way. So I honestly really like that moment. There was a moment with the sand snakes, and they got like the mountains skull. And my darling little Tyene is going to be pretending to be a septa as some of them go back to Westeros to see what's going on. Because apparently Cersei had a plot to kill some of them during the travel there. And they want to put little Marcella on the Iron Throne because by Dornish law, she's actually the one who should inherit the throne, not her younger brother. I love the Sand Snakes. They're just wonderful, and we get so little time with them, and I'm still resentful that the TV show messed them up so much, so I really hope they have a big part in Winds of Winter when it ever, fingers crossed, we get it. Davos, I actually really enjoyed Davos's chapter, specifically when he was being held hostage by one of the Northern Lords. And they had said to Cersei, like, yeah, we chopped off his head and his arm or his hands. So he's dead, no worries. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then actually goes to Davos, like, hey, here's the thing. We know the truth of what happened at Winterfell. It was actually the Boltons who did this, Ramsay specifically, so we're pissed. So we need you to go find Rickon, because we know he's alive. He's probably in that area. You're a smuggler. Go hunt him down, and then we will support Stannis for you if you get us our true King of the North, so we can throw the Boltons out. Also, the Freys are here. My son is a hostage, so I gotta pretend that I'm on their side, which means I gotta pretend to kill you. Hence, we chopped off an actual criminal's head, put us all in tar so they can't tell who it is. So you get out of here. Go find our new king of the north. Really love this. I'm buying into the northern conspiracy rebellion that's going on. 100% want to see that. Love it. There was one of the girls that was adamantly like defending Robb as like he was our king. The Freys betrayed them, and then the Freys are like, no, he actually betrayed us, and she's like, bull. Yeah, no, those moments were great. I still hate Theon. I hate him with every fiber of my being for what he did to the Starks and how he betrayed them. Let that be known. I still despise this man. No redemption will ever be enough to take that away. That being said, I can very much appreciate a well-executed character arc. So I won't forgive him, but oh my god, his character arc in this book. Seeing him being beaten down, tortured into not knowing his own name. He has taken on the persona of Reek, and oh my god, the pain this man is in and how that comes across in the pages, like Reek, it rhymes with meek, and how no, I can't take a bath, I have to stay in these clothes, no, I can't do this, Ramsay will be angry. But then you get that, where it's, oh no, Ramsay's actually merciful. He made sure I asked and begged and pleaded before he tortured me and removed fingers. It's all actually my fault. I made him angry. It's on me. The way he internalizes all this blame, and Ramsay has twisted his mind. Oh my god, this character has been put through hell. And seeing him manipulate other Ironborn men to give it, I think it was they were Ironborn, to give up their hold on one of these castles or gates or lands, whatever, knowing that, hey, even though I'm saying that Ramsay's going to be merciful on you and take you in and feed you, he's actually going to kill you. But this is my job. I have to do this for Ramsay. And then him going to Winterfell and hearing like the ghosts and his names, and he's slowly thinking maybe I can rebel. But then I love that scene, like, you know, it's a classic, like have the torturer have the person that they tortured like shave them as if to say, this is me putting control over you because I'm letting you hold a blade to my neck knowing that you're too scared to actually kill me after everything I've done for you. Ramsay does a similar thing where I think it's when he has Reek, Theon, cut off Jane Poole's wedding dress, so he has now a knife or something that he could use to stab Ramsay, but instead he follows the orders. And it's cliche, but I love it. It's a cliche for a reason, or it's a trope for a reason, and I love it. And then Theon interacting with like the washer women who are the spear wives to take Arya Stark, who's actually Jane Poole, and get her to freedom. Finally seeing him snap and being like, no, just let's go. Just whatever happens, like kill me before you let Ramsay take me again. And God, it's just well done. I still hate him. I still hate him more than anything, but God, it was well done. I even loved Asha. I don't like her very much, but seeing her being held captive by Stannis and just how she's looking as she's an Ironborn and she's seeing like the Lord of the Lights and everyone getting burned alive, and the slow progression towards Winterfell with Stannis' army. Like, I even liked her chapters. They were good. It was just, honestly, it was the big main characters that was mostly bugging me. I didn't like Jon's chapters. I didn't like Dany's chapters. And just that was the majority of the book that felt like it was bogging down. But all the little moments with the other characters, I really did like. There was Jaime dealing with the siege and taking a hostage. That was all well and good. But then Brienne coming up and saying, hey, I found Sansa, but you have to come with me or else the Hound's going to kill her. And we know that she's actually taking him to Lady Stoneheart. And the fact that we don't have the conclusion to that yet is already driving me up the wall. I can only imagine people who read this 11 years ago, how they're feeling. Then you have, was it John Constantine? I don't really know his last name. Constantine? It doesn't matter. So he reflects back on like the Battle of the Bells, where he was hunting down Robert Baratheon, but people were showing him, they were like hiding him during the rebellion war that he was doing. And he's like, I did everything I could. Like, Tywin Lannister couldn't have done better. But then he recognizes, you know what? Tywin would have got Robert Baratheon. He would have burnt the town down and then went looking for his bones, sacrificing all the innocent women and children in there. But it's like, I couldn't do that. And now he wants to see young Griff or Aegon on the Iron Throne, so I'm really interested to see what he's doing, but now he's contracted grayscale. Again, I want a grayscale outbreak. I want something with grayscale. I want the White Walkers to get, or the others, to get grayscale, and that being how we kill them. It'd be a more satisfying ending than what happened on the TV show, so I'd take it. Yeah, let Shireen be the one who defeats the White Walkers for all I care. She can go infect them with Patchface's help. Again, it'd be more satisfying than the TV show. Cersei's chapters. Oh my god, did I love Cersei's chapters. Seeing her break down. So it's the desperation as she's being tortured by the faith. And then agreeing to confess to the sins that she needs to, but denying the ones that would get her executed. And then the Walk of Atonement. So at first, she's like, I'm not going to cover myself. I'm going to be prideful. I'm a lioness of the rock. I'm not going to weep to them. Like, my hair will grow back. I'm strong. This is not going to break me. No matter what they say or do, she's going to walk back to the Red Keep, head held high. She's better than everyone. And she keeps saying, like, I'm going towards my son. She's being proud. She's holding it all in. Because she's not going to be like when her father had thrown out his father's replacements, who he had been sleeping with after the wife died, and had her thrown out and walk naked through the streets. She wasn't going to be dishonored like that one was. And then slowly she breaks. She is recognizing, like, she's not a young woman anymore. She's aged. Parts are sagging. She's had 3 children. And people are taunting her and throwing things at her and mocking her. And she's cracking. And then she's hallucinating the people that she hurt, seeing them in the crowd. And she stumbles and she falls and she has to cut for herself. And she's crying and she's sobbing. And then she's running until she's finally safe at the Red Keep. And she has her new champion, who's totally not the Mountain, that's going to fight for her and vanquish her enemies. And she's spending time with her son again. And then, what's his name? The uncle. Kevan. You get him taking command and going on, blah, blah, blah. And then he is killed by the little spiders. And Viserys, I was so happy. I knew it was coming, obviously, but being like, I've always been wanting a Targaryen revival, bring them back to power, and I can't have you fixing all these little things, all these little conflicts that have been put in place that I have orchestrated, that have worked out in my favor. I'm not going to have you fix it. I'm not going to have you heal the realm. I need it in chaos so we can get the Targaryens back in command. And I did love the ending. So while a lot of this book bugs me, no part of it's going to be the fact that I binged the last half. The library was going to take the book away from me. I had to binge it and finish it as quickly as possible. Not the best way to consume this book, but a lot of it was slow. A lot of it was set up. A lot of it was mundane. It was moving things and setting things up, but I enjoyed a good chunk of it. The smaller parts, the smaller sections I enjoyed a lot, and I am very excited to see the conclusions of all this before I'm 80. That's all I ask. Can I get the next book before I'm 80 years old? That's all I ask. In other news, I am actually halfway through Fire and Blood. I have binged all this in one day. Loving it. This here is actually going to be my favorite book in the series. I did not expect that. This is a textbook. When I finish this, I'm just going to gush. I'm just going to gush about all the characters in this book. So that's what I got. I am done with the main series. I'm going to read Fire and Blood, and then I start the Dunk and Egg stories, I guess, but that's a little bit lower on my priority list than a couple of the other books that I have. But I will talk to you later.